What's up, guys? My name's Cam.
And my name is Joel, and welcome to another episode of Sports from the Gutter, where we're talking sports stuff. And today we're talking about Ezekiel Elliot and his brand new suspension. 6 games. It's been a long time coming. People thought he was going to get suspended. People thought he was going to get suspended. The latter ended up being correct. What do you think about this game?
I'm honestly a little shocked because I feel like Jerry Jones is like his pull in the league. I feel like he would be able to. He did vouch for him, saying he was a good kid, but of course he's gonna say that as a player, right? But honestly, he deserves it. I'm not gonna say he doesn't deserve it because he has been acting out, and it's a little immature at this point. Honestly, he has to set an example because he's clearly like one of the best players on that team, and the reason why they were so successful last season. Yeah, giving credit to the O-line as well, but they made it easy for him. But still, like, he's a phenomenal player. Especially this is his second year, so it's expected of him, honestly, because he's still young. He's still in that college mode kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But he's going to have to wisen up or else he's going to see the consequences.
Yeah, definitely like the other... What?
He has seen the consequences.
Okay. You can still appeal it, so they might get dropped down to like 2 or 3 games. But like definitely the other stuff that happened to him definitely didn't help the situation at all. It just made it look like he was that bad apple with the whole pulling the girl's top down to the bar fight. Not great looks, especially with someone that's under investigation. But it's just a weird situation because it's like the police didn't prosecute him or anything like that. So apparently the NFL has evidence that's enough for them to say, yeah, there was definitely some domestic violence going on. It's a very weird situation, though, because, I don't know, like, no one's really seen the evidence kind of thing.
Right. Speculation.
Yeah. It could just be the NFL just trying to crack down, make it look like, we're taking this thing pretty seriously, because that's a pretty big issue. So they don't want that bad PR, like, oh, there goes another woman beater. Even though they did, let's see, Ray Rice was like 2 games, I think, like that.
Ray Rice video. I think they cut him.
No, I think his was like 2. Well, I saw a lot of people complaining on Twitter about that. Like, Ray Rice gets 2 games suspension, even though they caught him on tape.
Regardless, they cut him, I think, eventually.
The Ravens.
Exactly, right.
But with Zeke, I think it was a whole new policy in place because of all the stuff that was coming on. So I think it was like automatically, if there was any evidence of it, it was going to be like a 6-game suspension without pay right off the bat. So I don't think it was like anything like, oh, some people are saying they want to go after the Cowboys because, it's like Jerry Jones kind of thing.
Exactly.
So it could be that. That's like conspiracy talk, but it makes sense.
Do you think Zeke should appeal?
Yeah. Good question.
I know fantasy people want him to appeal very badly. Yeah, that's true. Fantasy people are upset right now. He was definitely one of the 3 running backs that you're going to pick up first.
That changes things.
It does.
That changes things, especially with fantasy starting so soon.
Exactly. Our draft is coming up soon, so I'm not going to say I would have drafted Zeke first.
But it's like a good option to have.
Exactly.
So, like, that option's off the table.
You could depend on him to easily put up like 20 points in PPR.
With the O-line, like you mentioned earlier. So that's a pretty big blow to these fantasy teams. But I don't know if he should appeal it, because it just makes the process go like way longer too. Because then it's like, okay, if he gets to play this year, you're not going to get to play next year or something like the Tom Brady situation where it just kept on going until finally he actually had to accept the punishment. But I don't know. If he can get the sentence shorter, that would be great.
The sentence, like, he's going to jail. Honestly, like some people were saying, i.e. Rappaport, that he should, just not appeal, just take time to kind of. I gotta agree partially.
But
with that.
6 games, I feel like that's more than enough time to take time. Like, I feel like 3 games.
Because it's like 1 game a week, so that's like a good what?
That's 6 weeks.
And possibly
probably
6, 7 exactly with the bye.
But it's the whole money though.
Exactly.
3 extra weeks of like.
So I didn't even know he was suspended without pay. It's crazy, man.
That's like, obviously you still make money, but that's 6 weeks of NFL paychecks right there. That's a lot of paychecks right there. That's a lot of money.
So I'm sure he's gonna appeal, but even if he does appeal, he gets like a shorter suspension. Honestly, I feel like he should really wisen up at this point, honestly. He has to realize that he's kind of a target at this point,
That's really what comes down to. Like, have your fun, pull some tops down if they allow it. Get into some fights, because don't get into fights, but you got to go out on the bars. Like, I know people are saying, you should be
stay home. Exactly.
But it's like, come on, he's a young guy. It's summer, off season. let him have a little bit of fun. He's got money in his pocket. Let him do his things. But just be aware of what could potentially happen, of people going after you. You're the Cowboys player, one of the most loved teams in America, and one of the most hated teams in America.
Exactly.
Especially their fans. Team. A lot of people hate Cowboys fans. So you're naturally going to get some flack when you're going out to bars and stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty much what it comes just down to, just wising up, like just playing a little bit smarter. Do you think if none of that stuff happened that they wouldn't have suspended him?
Because of what happened last year,
all the
right?
other stuff.
Right. All the other stuff, like
the bar fight and all that thing.
I don't think he should get suspended. I just think he just needed some talking to kind of thing. Mm-hmm. At this point, if it gets to becomes like a domestic violence thing, then honestly, he might have to think about.
Yeah. I'm wondering what this evidence is. There's apparently like pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've been reading about that. Honestly, I don't know.
Very sticky situation. What else are we talking about today? We want to get into Jordan.
Talking about Jordan. We're gonna change sports. We're talking about Jordan.
So Ray Lewis, he's been in the news a lot lately, actually, because they talked to him about the whole Colin Kaepernick thing.
You said Ray Lewis after I said we were changing sports.
Huh?
You said Ray Lewis right after. You just made me seem like I didn't plan this at all. Like
yeah. Yeah. So he was talking about Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan apparently told him that one of his biggest regrets was playing for the Wizards. What are your thoughts on this?
Honestly, I was thinking about this earlier. Does somebody's legacy get affected? Like, put their numbers aside, but so we have Jordan, right? Jordan had he's arguably the best player ever in the world. So granted, he did have 20 points a game, so it's not going to be like he wasn't the greatest player ever. Yeah. So you're not going to take that away from him, honestly, but it kind of, watered down a little bit for me. It just doesn't look right. It doesn't look good at all. Like him, even playing baseball also. Oh, that was him leaving. It's just like he tried it and came back.
It wasn't as bad as seeing his Wizards jersey, I think, right. But it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. Like the way I look at it is like with Breaking Bad. Okay, so Breaking Bad, great series, everyone loves it, one of my favorite series of all time. And then Better Call Saul comes out, which is a great series also. Right. But it scares you because it's like it leaves that bad taste in your mouth. It's like, what if this doesn't do good? And it shouldn't tarnish your view of Breaking Bad, but because it's made by the same people, it bothers you a little bit.
I was thinking, what made me think about this earlier? I was thinking like Game of Thrones is like the best show ever. Like imagine if the writer. Yeah. Like what if he wrote another show?
Well, there's talks of it because there's plenty of stories they can tell. They can talk about the prequels. They can talk about side stories, bunch of other stuff. There's a lot. What if it's just bad?
I know there's plenty of
well, like the prequels and stuff. That like it would be great to see
just for the knowledge of it. Exactly. You're like, oh, it adds more to the story. Yeah, you get to know more. But
it's in the books and everything like that. Like that's actually like the main part. I think of like the first book and stuff like that. Well, like not the main part, but it's talked about a lot. So the series would just portray it, and people were like, oh man, this would be so cool to see this, because there's so much history in Game of Thrones. Like this guy went so detailed with the stuff, and I think there's other writers that have tackled some of the stories and just really brought it to life. But the whole thing it's just scary because it's like, nah, I don't want you to touch it in a way. Exactly. Like it would be great to see it, but I don't want you to touch it.
I can talk about that for a lot of things, for instance, How I Met Your Mother, that show How I Met Your Mother. Mm-hmm. It was an amazing show, but then towards it, the end of the series, it just kind of started slowing down. Mm-hmm. I was just like, I just want to finish it at this point. Yeah. I know you haven't watched Naruto, but for those who watch anime, but Naruto, it's it has when he's young, when he's his prime, which it should only have been in his prime because I didn't even like when he was younger, and then it had a next generation of his children that's out right now. Yeah.
Is he older looking too?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So it's it's a whole nother show, but it's of his son.
Dragon Ball Z would do that too.
Exactly, and we all know Dragon Ball GT was the worst thing that ever happened. So it's just the same thing. Like Jordan, his prime was definitely with Chicago, but then him being on the Wizards, kind of I get to see Jordan play again, but it's just not that high flying, jumping from the free throw line, dunking Jordan, honestly. And like I said, he did score 20 points, which is amazing, honestly, because say if Kobe were to come back right now, he wouldn't do that.
No, he's way too messed up.
Exactly.
I think that also helps with Jordan's injuries. He didn't get injured drastically throughout his career too.
Yeah, he got
drastically
got hurt drastically.
As far as like with Kobe,
drastic like his of course, his rookie year, he scored like 39 points a game or something like that.
Was it second year, I think,
or his second year? Then he got hurt.
Yeah, he had that big. Exactly. I'm saying like later on in his career when he's like starting to break down.
No, not like that type of like late in his career injury, but he did suffer a pretty big injury, honestly.
Yeah, when he first came. But that's what I'm saying. Like with Kobe, it's when he was starting to get old a little bit, so your body's not
exactly. His body was breaking down, and it wasn't used to doing. It couldn't handle what he was like. His mind was thinking a certain move. His body couldn't really. We could see it honestly. So it's just that honestly. I mean, it's good. Jordan came back and everything. Like I said, everybody got to see him again, but I'm sure I understand why he would regret it honestly.
And then didn't a lot of it do with the whole like ownership thing? Like he wanted to have part ownership of a team kind of thing. Wasn't that something to do with it? Like.
I have heard rumors about that. I didn't really look into it as much to see if that was exactly, if it was credible or not.
Yeah.
But that would be interesting to know if it was like had to do with like the front office or just the owners. He wanted part ownership and they wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
That's messed up. He wouldn't have got his own team.
It's big. It's big weird
question mark.
Yeah, it's big weird question mark. It definitely doesn't look right though. Like just looking back at like the pictures of him in the jersey, it doesn't feel right.
It doesn't. Right. Yeah. It's just like it's not a bull logo on that jersey.
Yeah. Especially out of all the players you expect him to retire on the same team that he was drafted with. Like you think of the Kobe's, the Tim Duncans. There's some players here and there, the Magic Johnsons, they like leave on the team that they came with. So it just, like I said, leaves a bad taste in your mouth pretty much at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. What else are we talking about today?
What else are we talking about today? We were going to talk about... I completely forgot the other topic. Oh, Phil Jackson apparently wanted to trade Kristaps Porzingis to get the number 1 pick and potentially draft Lonzo Ball.
Exactly.
It's pretty big. That's pretty big. Because like a lot of people were like, oh, don't trade Porzingis. Don't blah, blah, blah. With Lonzo Ball, it seems a little bit more interesting.
It does. And say he did deal Kristaps, kept Melo. Mm-hmm. Would he try to force the triangle upon, because the triangle is heavily dependent on a good wing player. So, especially what's just popular today, it's dependent on a good guard kind of thing, like, Jordan, Kobe.
Yeah.
So to see, would he try to force Lonzo and Melo into that? Because I don't think it would work, honestly.
No.
Either way, if he was successful in doing that, he would have got fired anyways. But it would be interesting to see those two paired up.
Yeah, because I feel like every time people brought up the whole Porzingis thing, it's like, no, why would you trade Porzingis? Why would you do this? But then you're like, oh, Lonzo, who has potential. Like, everyone's saying he's great. He's going to be great for the Lakers. So why wouldn't he, be great on another team where he's going to be that playmaker? He's going to be with someone that wants the ball, and Carmelo. So in a way, it doesn't look bad out of all the other trade scenarios that are brought up when Kristaps Porzingis, that whole trade thing was going on. So it's pretty interesting.
Honestly, I was one of those at one point, like one of those people like, that. Oh, why would you trade Kristaps?
I was for, let's take the calls, see what they say.
Dangling Porzingis, which could potentially be the face of a team. I just feel like the Knicks have gotten rid of too many people. It's just like a track record of getting rid of players and then they have success elsewhere.
Yeah.
So I just feel like they have the worst luck with that. So, they could deal Porzingis and he could potentially turn out to be like one of the greatest players ever. I'm not going to say that, but
yeah, but
you just never know. It's always one of those things.
Do you feel that potentially it could have been because he wanted to just spite the Lakers?
It's crazy. I thought about that. Yeah. And what if, to go even deeper into it, imagine they just released that story purely because, it seemed like kind of like too easy. Like, it just seemed like too great of a story. Like, Lonzo Ball staying in LA, staying and then going to the Lakers. It was all predicted. It just seemed kind of like it shouldn't have happened.
Are you like saying about the whole NBA draft conspiracy
exactly,
stuff?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. That's so that whole thing, I didn't even know it was a conspiracy.
You didn't hear that the NBA draft is pretty much rigged?
I mean, I've heard that. But I mean, specifically in this situation, that would be a perfect example.
This one, because it was like, it would seem like it was pretty much destined to happen. Like everything would just fell in place. But there have been other ones where it's like, this is a little shady situation.
LeBron.
Yeah, LeBron. You look at Derrick Rose. You look at what was the NBA's team? The Hornets that they owned, and then they got that first pick.
Exactly.
What else? There was There was the one where like you can see the guy bang the envelope, and I think this was like the first televised one or something. So he bangs the envelope, and then the commissioner, David Stern at the time, he goes in to reach for the envelope, and you can see him like kind of look for the one that's kind of like banged up. Very, very obvious, like something was going on there. That was pretty interesting. I can't remember what was the player that was drafted.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's
wow.
like clear on video. Like you can see this whole thing going down. Yeah, there's I forgot who has the video, but they go into really good detail on like all the connections that can be made. It's pretty freaky. Like there's a lot of good points being made.
Granted, there is like, plenty of conspiracies out there for everything, but
yeah, especially in the NBA.
Exactly, especially in the NBA. But it'd be crazy because that's one of the more likely ones, honestly. Of course, especially things that are dependent on the viewers. Mm-hmm. Stuff like stories like that, like those Cinderella stories kind of thing. That's what brings the viewers like, it's interesting, honestly. Yeah. So
is that a Cinderella story?
No, I'm just saying like a Cinderella story, a hometown hero story.
Yeah, gotcha.
Those things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But
yeah, because it'd have been the ultimate just backhanded slap by bringing him to New York instead of LA.
That'd be crazy.
Because as soon as he gets that number 1 pick, the Lakers are like, fuck this, we're not getting him. There's no way.
The Lakers draft number 2. Who do they go? Do they get Markelle?
Yeah, maybe Markelle.
Maybe De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, something like that.
You know what? I remember I said this earlier. Like my MVP candidates are definitely. Rookie of the year. It's MVP candidates. Yeah. Really crazy. Rookie of the year candidates are definitely Lonzo and Dennis Smith Jr.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm still leaning towards Lonzo for number 1, but I think Ben Simmons. I think people are forgetting how good Ben Simmons is. I don't really like Ben Simmons.
I think he's overrated.
Really? Yep. No. I think what it is also is because like every time I go against him in 2K, he kind of like kills me a little bit. So it's a little bit of like, man, this guy's gonna be really good.
The thing about him is that his shot is not there at all.
Yeah.
Like especially his 3-point shot. Especially
3 points not there.
In this NBA, I feel like he's gonna struggle to really score because he doesn't have like a shot that somebody has to really make sure they get out there on it.
But
you know what I'm saying?
That not everyone has a 3-point shot coming straight out of college too. So I think it'll get better in time. How good it's gonna get, not sure.
See that I can see what you're saying in cases where somebody has like a shaky jumper.
Yeah.
But in his scenario, like his I don't have the percentages, but I'm sure it's somewhere terrible.
Yeah. He was usually sticking to like the around the free throw line jumpers, and even then he was kind of struggling with those also too. So that was a big question mark.
What was crazy about him and what I feel like really got all the recruiters and all the scouts and everything was his playmaking ability at his size. His size, he had the basketball body, he was explosive
because he gives off those LeBron kind of
exactly comparisons. Right. So I feel like a lot of scouts bought into that, honestly. So that's what I feel like. Honestly, it's a little. I say honestly a lot.
You do say honestly a lot.
Just right there, like, honestly.
We can pick out a lot of words that you say a lot.
Yeah. You too.
Yeah.
I'm the one who edits, so.
Yeah. What was that?
I'm the one who edits.
You are the one who edits,
so I do know what you say a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's explosive going to the rim, so I feel like that's what scouts kind of bought into is that, he's LeBron-like, but he's definitely got to develop that shot because if not, I still feel like he's overrated. So
We'll see.